Chapter 45. Exile sat patiently in the cold darkness of the dungeon, listening to the sounds of the earth. The guards hadn't touched the doors to snort that had left Cinder in a rage hours before. The black dragoness had been gone nearly just as long. As his perception extended outward from the thick stone of the cave walls, he felt the warmth from the outside. It was already morning and still Cinder had not returned. The old wolf took in a deep breath as he had calmed his nerves. It was important for him to practice what he preached to Cinder if he were to truly become a role model for her. All at once he heard the sounds of footsteps coming down the steps in the main chamber of the cavern. He recognized the irritated style as those of the alphas. Exile cracked one blue eye and glanced at Cinder's cell. "Tell me stop, Cinder," he whispered. As if to respond, there was a soft wave from the cloud of shadows drift to his cell. "What I'd missed?" the black dragoness asked, her eyes shining through the darkness. Exile's nostrils flared. "I should be asking you the same question," he replied, causing Cinder a buzz of embarrassment. "Oh, well, she stammered. "It's all right, my dear." Exile waved a dismissive hand. But he was interrupted by the sound of the doors to the dungeon opening up. With a loud snort entered the prison. He stomped past Exile, not giving the old wolf a second glance and stared into Cinder's cell. "Get up!" he barked. "We're going. Now!" He was set with a loud growl, and shadows began to spread out from the darkness of the cell. Cinder's eyes burned with confexity, and Snarl took a step back as the groan in her throat grew louder. He tossed aside as the barred doors went flying. The guards entered, jumping alarm, and drew the weapons as they rushed into the dungeon. Snarl coughed hard and turned to stare up at the terror of the skies. Cinder leered at the other wolves who shrank back in fear. "I think your words are a little weak in the knees," she hissed mockingly. The pack leader looked back at his warriors and barked once. The warriors yelped in surprise and straightened up with a bit less nerves than they had entered the dungeon with. Cinder sneered and barreled out the dungeon and spread her wings with a mighty roar. The sound of her voice carried throughout the cavern, shaking boulders free of the walls and ceiling. The wolves of the village howled in fright and scoured to the cave walls for shelter. Cinder smiled to herself, pleased with making her presence known. She didn't know why, but she was suddenly full of energy. She lumbered up to the main cavern and soared to the main cave entrance. Like she had before, she tucked her wings to her slender body and shot like an eel through the narrow opening. Once outside, she let the warm sunlight fill her wings as she beat them against the morning thermals, blowing up against the side of the mountain. Several minutes later, Snore appeared at the mouth of the cave. He was pained from the exertion of racing against his rice village. "What is taking you so long?" Cinder demanded, letting her hiss hang in the air. "We have work to do, and I don't think my master can be kept waiting much longer. I'm bringing a couple of my most elite warriors along this time." Snore pointed a punishing finger at the black dragoness. "I don't think that could help you much, if at all." Cinder spat a tuft of black fire, sighting the stone just above Snore's head. "Oh, I beg to differ," Snore snickered. "These warriors were granted the power from none other than your master." Cinder cocked her head sideways as Snore snubbed his claws together. Immediately, a trio of wolves emerged from the cave from behind the alpha. These wolves were larger and had a more massive build than the one Cinder had encountered before. Two had fur, bristling with ice spikes and ice as white as the snow itself. The third had fur that stood on end, and Cinder could hear the crack of electricity. It was Snor's turn to sneer at Cinder. The black dragoness gritted her teeth as she landed for the wolves to climb onto her back. "Mount up!" Snore barked. The wolves yipped and hollered with excitement. Cinder suddenly felt dirty as she felt the kidneys climb onto her back. She hated them so much more than she had before, and her shadows began to emanate from her body. It was then she remembered Exile's voice in her head. She took a deep breath and set her nerves. With that one, she spread her wings and sprang into the air, leaving the wolves to yelp and bark in surprise, clawing at her hide, trying to get a grip. Spyro walked back to the campground feeling pretty good about his morning so far. New power seemed to swell up inside him. When he entered the campground, every head turned to look at him. "Hey, Spyro!" Spike poked the floor over to his brother and draped an arm around his neck. "You feeling any better?" It was then he noticed the tooth marks on his neck. "Yeah, I'm doing much better," Spyro nodded with a smile. "What happened to you?" Ember asked, taking a couple steps closer. She leaned down and peered at Spyro's neck. The bite Cinder had given him had been almost healed from when he used his special powers, but the marks still remained. "Nothing," Spyro stammered. "Really?" Ember and Spikes both narrowed their eyes at him. They knew what the marks were, and they looked over at Stella, whose brows jumped in surprise. "What?" she asked. "I didn't do it." "Yeah," Spyro nodded. Now can we just drop it?" Ember raised a suspicious brow. "All right, Spyro, if you insist." "Thanks." Spyro turned to the rest of the Guardians. "We need to rest up. I'm almost certain that Dark Master will send Cinder after us again soon, and we need to be ready for her when she does. What makes you think she's going to attack this soon? Candace asked. She was saddled up next to Tremor, who had a wing draped around her. Because I know how the Dark Master thinks, Spyro narrowed his eyes. We need to make sure we finish out the Dark Master's forces and defeat Malfoy once and for all. You sure seem energetic about it, Tremor said, picking himself up off the ground. I guess you could say I needed to come to think things over last night. Spyro glanced over at Sailor, who smiled back. I know these past several weeks have been tough on everyone. The Guardian's own chuckled nervously. Candace noticed a tremor as she stood up beside him. It was the first time Spyro had seen them acting in such a manner towards each other. He smiled to himself and continued with his speech. I know that taking down Dark Master is not going to be an easy task. Defeating him was the hardest fight I had ever to deal with before. I've watched you all grow as Guardians. I know you're still in your training stages, which is why I'm not asking you to assume active duty as Guardians. Do you choose to have me take down Malfoy? It's going to be up to you. I'm in! Tremor half barked, half roared, and the ground thundered slightly beneath the dragon's feet. Well, if you're going, then so am I, Candace said, shuffling Tremor slightly. Someone has to make sure you stay out of trouble. How sweet of you, Candy. The other dragon chuckled and gave her a playful nudge. Well, I'm already a guardian. Flames raised a paw, so I have no choice. But even still, I'm in. You know me, Ember giggled. Where my flame goes, then so do I. Stella? Spyro turned to Lightning Dragoness. What about you? I'll have to think about it. I'm in. She smiled with a determined nod. Thank you, everyone. Spyro nodded graciously. I don't know what it's gonna take. Glad to have you here with me. Hey, what are friends for? Sparks piped up. We follow you into dangerous situations all the time. What kind of friends would we be if we didn't do it this time? The dragons burst out laughing. Alright, everyone. Spyro nodded and thrust his chest out to them. We've got some work to do before we rest up. He got them close into a hut and lowered his voice. Okay, here's my plan.